There, it's Dr. Emily, and I hope everyone's having a great day. So, another story that's in the news is that this principal in Newport News, Virginia, has been cleared of charges related to the school shooting in January of 2023. So, if you haven't been following this story, it was a young boy, I believe he was 6 years old, first grade, who shot his teacher, and the principal faced charges because she basically did not take it seriously. The teacher won a tremendous multi-million-dollar lawsuit. She'll be set up for life, but she had pretty bad injuries, and I'm sure mental health injuries also, so I feel like she deserves that. But it was interesting to me that the principal was dismissed. The principal faced no charges. And it made me think about schools and the law, and blame for when things go wrong at schools. So, it's very rare for an administrator to face either criminal or civil charges. I could think of one time in my career where that happened, and that was a very unusual situation, and there was a lot of drama involved. It involved money and all kinds of things. And at one time where it actually went to trial and charges were dismissed as there as well. And I could think of several lawsuits. But in the rural system where I did most of my work in Northeast Tennessee, there were very few lawsuits. The ones I can think of have to do with sports and sexual assault, unfortunately. The one that comes to my mind is where a volunteer coach showed himself at a wrestling at a event where the students were at a hotel. And the parents sued, saying that that was the school's fault, and that was dismissed. There are several lawsuits involving bullying, but that was student to student. And there were several media kind of drama events. I remember one big one involved a school board member who didn't like one a paraprofessional, and unfortunately paraprofessionals get a lot of the slack. They're accused of a lot of things, they're paid very poorly, and they're the first to be disciplined or to let go. They're the first to get blamed. So again, the blame is always put on people, and generally people without much power. And lawsuits are much more common in big school districts than small school districts. So, and that's because they involve money. So when I was in school, I went to a middle class school, early 1990s, and I had the teacher the year before this happened, I believe. And it was a large school district, so there was money involved. The school district had some sources of money. It had good insurance. It had a legal team. And a parent sued the teacher because she said that she took a child's pen. And that is just like the most ridiculous thing I can think of to sue over. And the court case was dropped. But that's an example of blaming teachers. There's this idea that teachers are to blame for everything, and really there's systematic problems. There are some teachers who are not too good, unfortunately, who maybe are burned out, or just not nice people. I mean, in every profession there are bad apples. There are people you don't want with your children. But for the most part, teachers are very, very responsible and really want to do what's right for kids. And I think that's what the judge saw in Newport News. There were systematic issues. That child should have never been in that classroom. But again, because of legal issues, the child was in special education, which special education students have special rights, especially when it comes to discipline. They're the only big group that has special rights when it comes to discipline. And it's much harder to discipline a child who has an IEP, who is in special education. That doesn't mean that every special education student's bad. I've had some wonderful special education students, some of my favorites. But that child should not have been in that setting, but there was this idea that because he did have special education that he should have been. And that was probably fear of a lawsuit was probably why he was there. So that's just something I'm thinking about when it comes to schools and assigning blame and lawsuits. There are problems that are blamed on teachers and on administrators, but they're really systemic.